given two vectors, one u with argument of 45 degrees and magnitude of 12, and v with magnitude of 16 and argument of 135 degrees, find the resulting components, magnitude, and argument of the vector resulting from the addition of the vectors, the subtraction of vector u from vector v, and the subtraction of 3v from the vector 5u, so 5u minus 3v and v minus u. The resulting vector from subtraction and addition of vectors is fairly simple. You add or subtract the respective components of each vector in this case. So basically the components of u and the components of v in this case. But we haven't found the components yet, but we can still find it. The components of each vector function similar to that of a unit circle. Basically, a vector of argument 45 looks like this, and 135 degrees looks like this. Notice one's in the first quadrant, one's in the second. As we know, both right reference angles are similar to the 45 degree 90 triangle, which has a hypotenuse of 1 and sides, well, legs would be more accurate, of root 2 over 2. Knowing that the magnitude, which represents the hypotenuse of the similar triangle, is 12 for u and 16 for v, we can find the resulting component, well, the absolute value of the components. Since u is in the first quadrant, both components are going to be positive, so we have this. Since v is in the second quadrant, the x component will be negative. I'm allowed to just use one component here because for a 45 degree 90 triangle, the x and y components are the same. You're normally not allowed to do this. Instead, you would want to use sine or another similar unit triangle for each. But since we could do that, since it was a 45 degree triangle, we could do it here. So we have our components. We can add them up. Remember that our first thing was u plus v. So we get this after we add them up. Then we use Pythagorean theorem to determine the magnitude. Then, to find the argument, we're going to take arctan of negative 7. Negative 7 is the ratio of y to x, which is how tangent works, and that equals negative 81.87 degrees. However, we're in the second quadrant, so we're going to have to add 180 to get it there. And still have them equal the same reference angle. This is our argument. For the subtraction of u from v, we follow essentially the same protocol. We take the component, we take the components of v and subtract u from them to get this. Taking Pythagorean again, we get a magnitude of 20. To find the argument, arctan of negative 1/7 equals 8.13, because once again, arctan negative 1 over 7, because remember that the x component is negative and the y component is positive. Well, yeah. The angle in the second quadrant has the same reference angle as this one is 180 degrees that, which is 171.87, which is the argument of that angle. For subtraction, scalar multiplication multiplies the components within. So 5u equals this, and once you distribute it out equals this. And 3v equals 3 times our components, which if you distribute them out, get this. Then we subtract these, and we get our components. To find our magnitude, we use Pythagorean theorem one more time, and to find the argument, we're in the first quadrant. Both of these are positive. This is included in our tangent domain. We don't have to do any fancy manipulation. Therefore, we just go ahead and use arctan 19, which is equal to 6.34, which is the argument.